As you can see, this place is called Strobl. It's at the eastern end of Wolfgangsee, only it's called sometimes Abertsee, the lake here. Strobl, I think in old German, means scruffy, unkempt, something along those lines. And it belonged to the Strobl family, perhaps they took their name from the town. Here we have a statue of one Hans the Third Strobl, that's what he looked like. Now he lived in the 16th century, but the name goes back to 1330, so he probably did take the name of the town as being that, or property which belonged to his family. Like many places in this part of Austria, it was discovered, let's say discovered by tourists, thanks to the railway lines. But there's an extra thing important here, and that's its location, which is close to Bad Ischl, which is about 14 kilometers or so from here. And that's the place where the Emperor Franz Joseph used to go for his summer holidays quite often. Now, one person who came here is Hugo von Hofmannsthal, who was an author, and he started coming at sort of the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, and he actually bought a property here. Now, his family actually owned several businesses, industries, and he had a big house in Vienna, for example, as well as other properties in Bohemia. So he used to like coming in, and sort of people like this would encourage others to sort of turn up. Now, there's a couple of film stars as well used to come here, film stars of the 20s and 30s. One is Theo Lingen, but the best known one is Emil Jannings. Now, Emil, I believe, is the only German to have won an Oscar, although it's not quite really fair to say he's a German because he was born in Switzerland and his father was in the United States. Now, he went off to Hollywood and he appeared in a number of silent films. And he came, but his accent when the talkies came in was so thick that people couldn't really understand what he was saying. It was a very German accent. So he came back to Germany, as it was, and he worked in a number of Nazi propaganda films. So obviously, as Goebbels said, the films were based on what Goebbels termed German culture, and he'd thrown out what he termed Jewish culture, so that's like Hollywood culture, so to speak. And one film that Emil Jannings appeared in was The Broken Jug, for example, which apparently is one of Hitler's favourite films. Or Hitler said the same thing to everybody, it was his favourite film. Now, Emil Jannings had appeared, for example, in the Blue Angel with Marlene Dietrich, and that he was meant to be the star, but the way it turned out that she was the star in the end. Now, the two of them had worked together, but in the end, because Marlene Dietrich was an anti-Nazi, Emil clearly, I wouldn't say he was exactly pro-Nazi, maybe, I don't know, but he did, he fell in with the system. Indeed, there's a photograph taken somewhere around where I am now, of him and Goebbels in a boat together. I'll see if I can actually post that on a website, see the link, which will appear above. And as a result of this, Marlene Dietrich said that she called him a ham actor and didn't want to have anything to do with her. And now Marlene Dietrich, a refugee from Nazi Germany, she entertained the troops, the American troops, during the Second World War. Emil Jannings actually came here he got Austrian citizenship around 1947 after the war. He was unable to act after the Second World War because he was seen as a Nazi, and he actually died here. I think it was cancer. He died around 1950, but he remains the only German to have an Oscar. Indeed, when he went to surrender to the Americans, he had the his Oscar statuette in his hand, and you can now see it. It's in a museum in Berlin. Here we have a water garden, and I shall explain to you what it says here. Well, I shall read it to you. Right, this here is what's called an arm bath. You can do this, if you want to come here, you can do it at home. Dip both arms into the arm bath, start with the right and then the left. Remain in the water until the chill becomes uncomfortable. Then wipe off your arms and warm up by smooth exercising. Oh, better give you the warning as well. It says exercise and cold water therapy only when you're healthy. The main principle of the Kneipp water therapy is the interaction of warm body and chilling water. For correct treatment, ensure that your body is warmed up before exercising. It's advisable to keep an adequate recreation period between arm and foot therapy. Take your time to enjoy a relaxing walk and benefit from our natural landscape. Okay, wading in the water. While wading in the water, lift up your feet slowly but completely out of the water like a stork. Remain in the water until the chill becomes uncomfortable. Then, dry yourself up and warm up by smooth exercising. It's not advisable to wade in the water if you've got kidney or bladder problems. One way of losing weight is to sort of immerse yourself in very cold water. This improves your grey fat, which is a positive fat to have. I was washing myself every day, in fact take a cold shower. I seem to have stopped that of late, which was a pity because it took me ages to get used to it. I never liked it. I started doing it in 2003. It was a doctor said do it, and everybody says got colds except for him, and certainly I started getting fewer colds. But since stopping doing it, I'll start again in a couple of weeks when the weather gets really hot. When you're in the van and you sort of, it's easy to take showers. It seems to be easier to take showers in the van than it is at home. So I might be in the shower 3 or 4 times a day when the weather's really hot. So here we have a view of the Wolfgangsee, which is approximately 10.5 kilometers in length, although it's divided into 2 parts. You can see the sort of narrows in the center up there, and that's called die Enge, which means narrow in German. If you saw my film Sankt Gilgen, I'm sort of just repeating a bit of what I'm going to say now. So it's roughly 13 square kilometers in area, and all around the Salzkammergut mountains. Indeed, that's the name of the region. Now there we've got, you can see the white church down there, that's St. Wolfgang, and then there's a village called Ried. Now I stopped at St. Gilgen yesterday, and you can see my film from there, but there's no, because of the sheer face, the rock face there, the mountains, you can't actually get around. You've got to come all the way around to get to Ried, then go all the way back again. There's no road. It doesn't really look that steep from here, but maybe it's just the angle. I think of the 2 places, I have to say I prefer St. Gilgen. Another famous resident from here was Leopold III of Belgium, the king. He was brought here during the Second World War as a prisoner of war. A prisoner really. He was guarded by 200 of Waffen SS. Which I'm sure they'd rather spend the time guarding the king than being at the front and taking risks. Here we can see a bust to the actress Helen Thimig. She's quite well known in Austria. Took part in a number of films. She was married to Max Reinhardt, and he had to flee the Nazis. But he died in 1943 in exile in the United States, but she was able to come back, and she died in Vienna but she spent, I think it's around 20 years here. Oh, and they've even got some. But from 1947 to 1970, she lived here, Strobl. One of the films she took part in was the Hitler Gang, which, as you can tell, was an anti-Nazi film from 1944. And the church is 18th century.